All right, let's jump into another deep dive.
Sounds good.
Today, we're tackling Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
A classic.
It really is. And, you sent us some really interesting excerpts from it.
Yeah.
So we're going to be kind of focusing on those.
Yeah.
A little bit of a treasure hunt for the golden nuggets, right?
Absolutely. It's like a highlight reel of Think and Grow Rich.
Exactly.
And what makes Think and Grow Rich so interesting is that Hill frames the whole thing around a secret. The secret formula for wealth that he supposedly learned from Andrew Carnegie himself.
Wow.
But he never explicitly tells you what it is.
Yeah.
He just gives you clues throughout the text. And it's up to you to kind of piece it all together.
It's like a challenge, right? He's like, can you figure it out?
Exactly. He's testing you along the way.
Yeah.
And he teases you with these stories of people like Charles M. Schwab.
Right, big name in business.
Right, who applied this secret to build U.S. Steel.
Yeah.
And then you have Arthur Nash, who revived his whole tailoring business using the same secret.
And they all came from this one formula.
Supposedly.
Do you think as we go through these excerpts, we'll be able to kind of crack the code?
We'll see. It's going to be fun trying.
Okay, well, I'm excited. So where should we start with this? I know one of the first things that he talks about is this idea of burning desire.
Yeah. Burning desire is essential.
More than just wanting something, right?
It's way more than just wanting something. It's this intense, all-consuming passion that drives you forward no matter what obstacles you face.
I'm thinking about the story he tells about Edwin Barnes.
Oh, yeah, great example.
And Barnes was so determined to work with Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
And he didn't just send in a resume or make a phone call. He did it to New Jersey, where Edison's lab was, with very little money in his pocket.
Yeah.
No guarantee of anything.
It's just this burning desire.
Right. But what I find fascinating is he didn't even go there expecting to get some high-paying position, right? He just wanted to be in that environment.
He wanted to learn from the master.
Right.
So he offered to work for Edison in any capacity.
In any capacity.
Whatever it took.
And I think that's a real key takeaway for people, right?
Definitely.
It's not always a straight line.
Sometimes the path to success is a winding road.
You got to be willing to take some unconventional steps.
Maybe even take a position that seems beneath you.
Right.
If it aligns with your ultimate goal.
It's all about those stepping stones, right?
Exactly. Seeing the bigger picture.
You don't have to have it all figured out from the beginning.
Absolutely not.
And, thinking about Barnes and his stepping stones, that actually reminds me of another concept that Hill talks about, burning your bridges.
Burning bridges.
Yeah. And he tells this story, a really interesting one, about a merchant who lost absolutely everything in the Great Chicago Fire.
Devastating.
Right. And you think, okay, this guy's probably going to pack up and move on, right?
And start fresh somewhere else.
Right. But he chose to rebuild
on the same spot.
Bigger and better than before.
Bold move.
What do you think when you read that? What stands out to you?
The resilience, for sure.
Yeah.
But also that level of commitment.
Yeah.
It's not just about starting over. It's about doubling down on your vision.
Even after such a setback.
Yeah, refusing to be defeated.
Yeah. I mean, if we think about how that applies to us.
It's about committing to our goals no matter what life throws at us.
Even when things get tough.
Exactly.
But it's also about being strategic, like Barnes was.
Right. Planning your moves.
Not just blindly jumping in.
Absolutely.
So it's like burning bridges is almost like eliminating that possibility of retreat.
Forcing yourself to move forward.
Right. And that takes us to another key concept that Hill talks about, which is belief.
The power of belief.
Yeah. And Hill, he doesn't just talk about it abstractly.
No, he gets personal.
He really does. He shares the story about his own son who was born deaf.
Yeah. Powerful story.
Incredibly powerful. And the doctors, they said he would never hear or speak.
Heartbreaking.
You'd think he would just accept that, but Hill refused.
He did.
And he instilled this belief in his son, constantly saying, you can hear, you can speak.
Amazing.
And what's incredible is his son did eventually learn to hear and speak.
Wow.
Hill attributes this to the power of faith and positive autosuggestion.
It's about feeding your subconscious mind with those positive beliefs.
Even when it seems like the world is telling you the opposite.
Yeah, even when reality seems to contradict it.
It's a powerful message.
It is. Now, of course, this isn't meant to be a miracle cure for deafness.
Right.
But it highlights the power of belief to shape our reality.
It makes you wonder, are we accepting limitations that don't even exist?
Exactly. How can we cultivate a stronger belief in ourselves and our potential?
I love that. It reminds me of another story Hill tells about an aspiring opera singer.
Oh, yes. The one who was told he couldn't sing.
Yes. And just like Hill's son, This singer completely defied the odds.
Pure determination.
Yeah, and an unshakable belief in his abilities.
And he ended up becoming a star.
Right. It's incredible. So it's
Yeah.
not just about positive thinking, is it?
It's about cultivating that deep-seated conviction that you can achieve anything you set your mind to,
Even if everybody else doubts you.
even if the whole world says you can't.
And that's where Hill's emphasis on faith and the subconscious mind really comes in, doesn't it?
It's the connection between the two.
He believed that that faith, combined with burning desire, can actually influence our subconscious.
And shape our reality.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
In a way, yeah.
So we've got the burning desire, strong belief. What's the next ingredient?
You might think knowledge, right?
Yeah, you would think.
And it's true. Hill emphasizes the importance of knowledge. But he's very specific about the kind of knowledge that actually leads to success
You're right. He really draws a distinction between just having information.
versus actually putting it into use.
Yeah, and he illustrates this perfectly with the story about Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, always a good example.
Remember the V8 engine?
Of course,
Hmm?
Ford's engineers told him it was impossible.
They said it couldn't be done.
And what did Ford do? He insisted they find a way.
Yeah.
He had this vision in his mind, and he wouldn't settle for anything less.
That's powerful, right? It's not just about having knowledge.
It's about having a clear goal
Yeah.
and the drive to use that knowledge to achieve that goal.
It's really about applying it.
Taking action.
Yeah. You know what strikes me about that story is Ford's determination.
Unyielding
He
determination.
didn't just accept the status quo.
He challenged his engineers to think differently,
Push those boundaries.
find solutions that seemed impossible.
And that's a great lesson for us too, right?
Absolutely.
Be willing to challenge those assumptions.
Think outside the box.
Don't limit yourself.
And remember, it's not just about brute force.
Right.
It's about focused, organized action.
So it's kind of like specialized knowledge. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Mhm.
Hill talks about the importance of specialized knowledge,
Okay, so it's the kind of knowledge that directly applies to your goals.
not just random facts and figures.
So you can't just be a jack of all trades.
You need to become an expert in the areas that are relevant to your ambitions.
I see. Okay.
And he's not saying formal education is bad.
Right.
He just sees it as a starting point.
The foundation.
Yeah, and he talks about the value of things like night schools,
Correspondence courses.
all those ways to acquire specialized knowledge.
It's about being a lifelong learner.
Right. Constantly seeking to expand your knowledge and refine your skills in the areas that really matter to you.
So you've got to be proactive about it,
Absolutely.
not just waiting for it to come to you.
Go out and seek it.
And I think that leads us to one of the most intriguing concepts in the book.
The mastermind principle.
Yes. This idea that true power comes not just from individual effort.
But from this synergy created by two or more minds working together.
And he uses Henry Ford again, right, as an example.
Henry Ford, a prime example.
Right, talking about his relationships with Edison, Firestone.
He surrounded himself with brilliant minds.
Yeah, those collaborations were key to his success, weren't they?
Absolutely. Hill believed this collaborative energy was essential to unlocking extraordinary potential.
And he even said that the psychic affinity between these minds created a connection on almost a spiritual level.
A deeper level than just sharing information.
Yeah, like greater than the sum of its parts, right?
Exactly. He actually compares it to connecting multiple batteries together.
Oh, okay.
You create a much stronger current than any single battery could achieve on its own.
I get it. So it's not just networking.
It's about building a powerful alliance of minds that resonate with each other.
Yeah. But how do you actually do that?
That's the big question.
How do you build that kind of alliance? What are the practical steps?
Well, Hill says you start by identifying individuals who share your vision
Okay.
and your values.
So people who get it?
People who possess skills that complement your own.
I see.
People who challenge you, inspire you, hold you accountable.
It's not just assembling a team, is it?
No, it's about fostering a dynamic where each member can really contribute their unique strengths.
So open communication.
Mutual respect.
A shared purpose.
It's all part of it.
I wonder if that's part of that secret he wants us to uncover.
Maybe it is.
That's exciting.
Now, while Hill was a big proponent of collaboration,
Yeah.
he also recognized that we all have internal obstacles we need to overcome.
That's true.
And he dedicates a good portion of the book to addressing fear,
Yeah.
which he considered a major roadblock to success.
Yeah.
He identifies these 6 ghosts of fear
It's ghosts.
that can haunt us.
Fear of poverty, fear of criticism, ill health.
Loss of love, old age, and death.
The big ones.
Yeah, the fears that can really hold us back.
And it's interesting, he calls them ghosts, isn't it?
It's a great metaphor.
Because they often kind of lurk in the shadows of our subconscious.
Influencing our thoughts and actions without us even realizing it.
Right.
They're there, but we don't always see them directly.
So let's take a closer look at these ghosts, shall we?
Sure.
Okay. Fear of poverty.
That's a big one for a lot of people.
Right. It can be paralyzing, can it?
It can prevent us from taking risks,
Or pursuing opportunities.
especially opportunities that could lead to financial abundance.
Yeah. What do you think is at the root of that fear of poverty?
Often it's a scarcity mindset,
Okay.
this belief that there's not enough to go around.
Interesting.
And that fear can lead to behaviors that actually perpetuate financial struggle.
How so?
Well, think about it. Someone might avoid investing because they're afraid of losing money,
Yeah.
or they might stay in a dead-end job because they're terrified of the unknown.
You're playing it safe.
But that safety might be what's keeping them stuck.
Right, holding them back.
Exactly.
And then
yeah.
you have the fear of criticism.
Ooh, that one can be a killer.
Yeah, it can really stifle creativity, can it?
It can prevent us from sharing our ideas with the world.
Because we're so worried about what other people are going to think.
We become paralyzed by the opinions of others.
And that can show up in a lot of ways, right?
Absolutely. Maybe someone avoids public speaking because they're afraid of being judged,
Or they don't pursue their artistic passions.
because they fear rejection.
It's like these fears are keeping us small, aren't they?
They're preventing us from stepping into our full potential.
It's sad.
It is. And it's important to remember that these fears are often based on perceived threats,
Yeah.
not actual ones.
So our minds are creating these monsters in the dark.
Our imaginations can run wild, conjuring up worst-case scenarios.
And most of the time, those things never actually happen.
Exactly. And that's why Hill encourages us to confront our fears head-on,
Shine a light on them.
challenge their validity, and focus on the positive possibilities that are ahead of us.
Okay, so we've talked about fear of poverty, fear of criticism. What about fear of ill health?
That one's particularly insidious
Why do you say that?
because it can manifest both mentally and physically.
Okay.
Hill believed that if we constantly focus on potential illnesses,
Yeah.
it can actually make us more susceptible to them.
Oh.
It's like we're giving those negative thoughts power over our bodies.
We're almost inviting them in.
In a way, yeah. And this fear can lead to all sorts of unhealthy behaviors.
Excessive worry, right?
Self-diagnosis.
Hypochondria.
maybe.
Hypochondria.
It's a slippery slope.
So how do we combat this? What's the antidote?
Hill stresses maintaining a positive mental attitude,
Okay.
focusing on health and well-being,
Right.
cultivating a sense of trust in our body's ability to heal.
So it's about shifting our focus, isn't it?
From fear to faith, from illness to wellness.
Yeah.
And it's also about adopting those healthy habits.
Exercise, diet.
Rest.
Yeah.
All of those things help build resilience.
So we're not just passively hoping for good health.
We're actively cultivating it
Kind of
through our thoughts and our actions.
Okay. Now, what about the fear of loss of love?
That one can really mess up our relationships.
It can make us so clingy, right?
Insecure,
Yeah.
desperate for validation,
And that can lead us to sabotage our own relationships.
by trying too hard to please or becoming possessive.
Yeah. Pushing people away.
And Hill says this fear often stems from a lack of self-love
Interesting.
and a belief that we're not worthy of love.
Okay.
So he encourages people to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth,
So it's about recognizing our own value.
believing that we are deserving of love and belonging.
True love starts within, doesn't it?
It does. When we love and accept ourselves, we're more capable of attracting healthy relationships.
Now, fear of old age, that's a big one. Especially these days, right?
Our society is so obsessed with youth.
Really is.
People fear the physical limitations of aging,
Losing their independence.
becoming irrelevant or invisible.
It's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah. But Hill challenges this fear by emphasizing the wisdom and experience that come with age.
Right.
He says embrace the aging process as a natural part of life.
So it's about shifting our perspective again, isn't it?
From fearing decline to anticipating continued growth.
And finally, the big one. Fear of death.
The ultimate fear,
Yeah, it can cast a long shadow over our lives.
preventing us from living fully in the present.
From pursuing our dreams.
Yeah. Hill suggests this fear often stems from a lack of understanding of what life and death really are.
Okay.
He encourages people to explore their spiritual beliefs,
Interesting.
to find comfort in the idea that death is not an end.
But a transition.
Yeah, to a different state of being.
And he also emphasizes living a life of purpose and meaning.
weaving behind a legacy that extends beyond our physical existence.
So it's not about denying death,
It's about reframing our perspective on it
finding that comfort,
and focusing on living a life that is so full and rich.
that we have no regrets.
Exactly.
Like a powerful concept.
It is. And it's important to remember, Hill didn't view fear as an enemy to be defeated.
Oh,
He saw it as a signal,
what do you mean?
a sign that we're pushing ourselves,
Okay.
that we're growing, moving outside of our comfort zone.
So it's a natural part of the journey.
Absolutely. It's how we respond to that fear that really matters.
Whether it cripples us or propels us forward.
That's the key.
And what does Hill say is one of the most powerful antidotes to fear?
Action.
Action.
Taking action, even when we're terrified.
Okay.
It's one of the most effective ways to overcome those paralyzing emotions.
And it doesn't have to be some big grand gesture, right?
You could be small steps.
Baby step.
Just get moving.
Prove to yourself that you can handle it.
And as you take those steps, each challenge you overcome,
Yeah.
it strengthens your confidence and chips away at that fear.
You build that momentum.
It becomes a positive feedback loop.
So we're not waiting for the fear to go away.
We're acting in spite of it,
Okay.
knowing that action is the key.
What else does Hill recommend for overcoming fear?
He also talks about developing a strong sense of self-reliance,
Okay.
trusting your abilities,
Yeah.
believing that you have the resources within you to handle whatever life throws at you.
So it's not about denying the need for help from others?
It's about recognizing that you also have a wellspring of strength and resilience within yourself.
It's like building a muscle, right?
Exactly.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And Hill also says one of the most effective ways to dissolve fear is to shift your focus
From what we fear.
to what we desire.
Interesting. So instead of dwelling on those potential negative outcomes,
You choose to focus on the positive possibilities you want to create.
so you're not denying that challenges exist
You're just choosing to believe that you have the power to overcome them.
and create the life that you want.
Precisely. That's a powerful shift in perspective.
And that's a big takeaway from Think and Grow Rich, isn't it?
Yeah.
This idea that we are not victims of circumstance.
And we have the power to choose our thoughts,
Yeah.
our beliefs, our actions.
And in doing so,
We shape our own reality.
powerful stuff.
It is.
And this is an interesting one that Hill talks about. The whole idea of transmutation of sex energy.
It's definitely one of the more controversial topics in Think and Grow Rich.
It definitely is. You know, even today, it kind of raises some eyebrows.
It does. But if you approach it just from an analytical standpoint,
Okay.
kind of strip away any moral judgments,
Yeah.
it really speaks to the power of harnessing those strong emotions and channeling them into something productive.
Yeah. So it's not really about sex itself.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's more about that raw, primal energy
Yeah.
that can drive us to achieve incredible things,
Okay.
if we can direct it properly.
Right. So it's that intensity, that passion, that drive.
Right.
But instead of letting it kind of run wild,
You harness it.
you focus it.
You channel it toward your goals.
And Hill says that a lot of highly successful people,
Yeah.
especially those with a strong creative drive,
Tend to have this intense energy.
like this insatiable desire to create, to make a mark on the world.
Yeah.
So the challenge is how to take that energy,
And transform it.
right, from something that might be considered, I don't know, base or impulsive,
Yeah.
and turn it into a driving force.
Right. And he gives examples throughout history of people who he believes achieved greatness through this process.
Does this transmutation?
Channeling their passion into their work, their art,
Okay.
their ambition.
It's an interesting concept.
It is. Now, of course, it's not a simple formula.
Yeah.
Hill doesn't give you step-by-step instructions.
Right.
But it does make you think,
Yeah.
how can we consciously cultivate that ability?
Yeah. How can we channel that energy?
Turn passion into purpose.
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
You know, shifting gears a little bit, going back to something a little more practical.
Great.
One of the principles that really stood out to me was that mastermind concept.
Oh, the mastermind.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
It's intuitive.
Surround yourself with brilliant minds, and it elevates your own thinking.
Yeah. But it's more than just that.
Okay.
Hill truly believed that this collaborative energy
Yeah.
was the key to unlocking your potential. He even suggested this psychic affinity between minds
Okay.
could create a connection on a deeper level, almost a spiritual level.
Like a hive mind almost.
Yeah.
Okay. But how do you actually build that kind of alliance?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. I mean, what are the practical steps involved?
Hill says you start by identifying people who share your vision,
Okay.
people who have those skills and knowledge that complement your own.
I see.
People who challenge you, inspire you,
Okay, got it.
hold you accountable.
So more than just a team.
It's about fostering that dynamic
Hmm.
where each member can contribute their strengths and insights,
So open communication,
mutual respect,
shared purpose.
all those things.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting. Hill himself used the mastermind principle when he was writing Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. How?
He would actually conduct these imaginary council meetings.
Imaginary council meetings.
Yeah, he'd visualize himself surrounded by some of history's greatest minds. Emerson, Lincoln, Edison, you name it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he'd have conversations with these mental giants,
Oh, wow.
seeking their wisdom and inspiration.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
So it's the power of visualization.
Exactly. Even if you can't physically be in their presence,
Yeah.
you can surround yourself mentally with that energy of greatness.
It's like creating a mental mastermind.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that ties back to belief, doesn't it?
It does. Immersing yourself in that energy of success,
Yeah.
even if it's just mental,
Yeah.
can help shift your mindset.
Attract those opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked about burning desire, the power of belief, specialized knowledge, the mastermind principle.
Yeah, we still haven't figured out the secret.
Right. So what is it? What is this big secret?
Maybe, just maybe, the secret is the combination of all these principles working together.
Ooh, interesting.
The cumulative effect.
Okay.
It's not one magic bullet.
Right.
It's the holistic approach.
Yeah.
The synergy that comes from all of these things working in harmony.
So maybe the treasure we're looking for isn't a single formula,
It's a whole way of thinking.
a way of being.
Yeah, a combination of mindset, strategy, collaborative effort.
And maybe the process of looking for it, of trying to uncover it.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes Think and Grow Rich so powerful.
It forces you to engage with the material,
Think critically.
apply it to your own life.
I like that.
Now, let's talk about something Hill really stresses. Organized planning.
Okay.
He dedicates a whole chapter to it.
Yeah.
He says that desire and belief aren't enough.
Right.
You need to translate those desires into a concrete plan of action.
So you have to have that roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's pretty specific about this too, right?
He gives you detailed instructions on how to create what he calls a personal brief.
A brief.
Yeah, outlining your qualifications, your goals,
Almost like a resume.
but more persuasive,
Okay.
more strategic. He believed this was especially important for people who are marketing their personal services.
So treating their career as a business.
Exactly. Actively seeking opportunities,
Yeah.
showcasing their skills.
So not just waiting for something to come along.
You create the opportunity.
I see.
You market yourself.
Yeah, make things happen.
And this proactive approach can apply to any area of life, really.
Right. Not just career.
If you want to attract a romantic partner,
Well, okay.
you can apply the same principles.
Interesting.
Create a plan, showcase your best qualities, build connections.
Or if you want to improve your health.
Yeah, create a plan with specific dietary changes,
Yeah.
exercise routines, stress reduction techniques.
Okay, I get it.
The key is to translate your desire into actionable steps.
That roadmap. Yeah.
Exactly. And Hill even suggests applying organized planning to the mastermind principle.
Okay. How do you do that?
Each member of the mastermind group
Yeah.
should contribute to the development of the plan,
Okay.
bringing their unique knowledge and skills to the table.
So it's kind of like a brainstorming session,
Collaborative planning?
but he also talks about the importance of maintaining harmony within the group, right?
Absolutely.
Because conflict and ego can really derail things.
They can.
So each member has a role.
But a clear role,
And there's that shared sense of purpose.
a commitment to the plan,
Regular meeting.
open communication,
Yeah.
willingness to compromise.
These are all crucial.
They are.
So it's not just assembling the right people.
You got to create a structure that fosters collaboration,
Yeah.
encourage creative problem solving.
And ultimately support achieving those shared goals.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about planning. What about persistence? I know Hill talks a lot about that too.
Oh, persistence is essential.
Because obstacles and setbacks, they're inevitable, aren't they?
They are part of life.
Right?
It's how we respond to them that determines our success.
Yeah. He tells that great story about Darby, the guy who gave up on a gold mine.
Oh, yeah. Just 3 feet from the vein.
3 feet from striking it rich.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. And it's such a powerful reminder that giving up too soon.
Can lead to missed opportunities.
Yeah, and regret.
So we need to cultivate that resilience,
Okay.
that ability to bounce back from those setbacks
Learn from our mistakes.
and keep moving forward,
Even when things get tough.
even when you want to quit.
And he gives another example, James J. Hill, the railroad guy,
Oh, yes. Fascinating story.
who faced so many obstacles financing that transcontinental railroad.
Ridicule, setbacks, logistical nightmares.
You name it.
But he refused to give up.
He kept going.
He kept revising his plans,
Finding new investors. And he ultimately achieved his goal.
connecting the East Coast to the West Coast.
An incredible legacy.
Vision, determination,
Belief.
and that unwavering commitment to seeing that vision through.
So it's about more than just having a good idea or a burning desire.
It's about the grit,
Yeah, the resilience.
the unwavering
It's
commitment.
about not giving up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Hill stresses the importance of analyzing our failures.
Learning from those mistakes,
Right.
using those lessons to create stronger plans.
So setbacks aren't defeats.
There are opportunities for growth.
Okay.
It's about maintaining that positive mental attitude,
Yeah.
focusing on the possibilities ahead of us.
Not dwelling on the past.
Exactly.
Okay, this next one is a little complex, but I think it's really important.
Okay, shoot.
It's this idea of organized capital.
Organized capital.
Yeah. And Hill uses it to kind of explain the source of America's abundance and prosperity.
Interesting.
He says it's not just about natural resources.
Or geographic location.
It's this complex network of systems
Very
and sources that all work together.
Okay.
He paints this picture of a simple breakfast being delivered to a family in New York City.
Okay.
Coffee from Brazil, sugar from Cuba, grapefruit from Florida.
All coming together.
Right. Transported by ships, railroads, processed, packaged.
It's a whole symphony of coordinated effort.
And that's what he calls organized capital.
Right.
And he argues that this system, while it has its flaws, of course,
Right. It's created unprecedented opportunities.
wealth creation, a high standard of living,
Yeah.
things that much of the world doesn't have.
And it's a testament to collaboration, specialization, efficient use of resources.
Yeah. Now, of course, Hill recognizes the system isn't perfect.
Right. He acknowledges the potential for exploitation,
Inequality.
environmental issues.
Yeah, he doesn't shy away from those things.
But he does emphasize that overall, the system has been pretty effective.
In driving innovation, creating jobs, providing access to goods and services.
Okay. And he challenges this idea that wealth is a zero-sum game.
Right, that for someone to win, someone else has to lose.
He says that a free market, when it's working well,
It allows for the creation of new wealth
so the pie gets bigger.
for everyone.
It's a fascinating perspective, isn't it?
It is. A lot to think about there.
Okay. I love the historical anecdotes that Hill uses throughout the book.
Me too, they're great.
And one that really stands out is the one about the Boston Massacre.
Oh yeah, that pivotal moment in American history.
Right, where British soldiers fired upon those unarmed colonists.
A turning point.
Yeah, it really fueled that revolutionary fire.
And Hill highlights the role of John Hancock and Samuel Adams
Right.
in shaping the response to that tragedy.
Yeah.
They took decisive action.
Yeah.
They had an unwavering commitment to freedom.
And they rallied others to the cause.
They were instrumental in igniting the revolution.
And what's interesting is they weren't military leaders, right?
No, they weren't politicians in the traditional
Well, they were
sense.
businessmen.
Community organizers,
Yeah.
master communicators.
Okay.
They understood persuasion, public opinion.
Strategic action.
In a way, they were an early example of the mastermind principle,
Right. Uniting those like-minded individuals.
leveraging their strengths, mobilizing a movement,
Okay, so Hill's drawing a parallel here between their actions.
and the importance of making clear, decisive choices in our own lives.
Okay.
He says indecision breeds fear, but cultivating the habit of making those quick decisions,
Yeah.
it can empower you to overcome procrastination and take control of your destiny.
So even when faced with uncertainty,
Or risk.
making a decision can be more empowering than just staying stuck.
Absolutely. Commit to a course of action.
Okay.
And Hill stresses that action must follow the decision,
Okay.
even if it's imperfect or leads to mistakes.
So get moving.
Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis.
You learn by doing.
You refine your strategies through experience.
Yeah.
And the act of moving forward builds that confidence.
Even if you stumble along the way.
Right. You'll make course corrections as you go.
Now, going back to fear for a moment,
Okay.
we talked about the 6 ghosts.
Yeah.
But Hill also talks about something else about fear. Its contagious nature.
Fear is contagious.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
He argues that people who are consumed by fear,
Yeah.
they can actually transmit that negativity to others,
Okay.
like a virus.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. Have you ever been around someone who's super anxious or stressed?
Yeah, all the time.
Do you feel that energy starting to affect you?
It's palpable, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, you can almost feel it in the air.
And Hill says we can be more conscious of the energy we're projecting,
Okay.
choosing to cultivate a more positive and empowering presence.
So, uplift others.
Inspire them.
Okay. So it's not about isolating yourself, right?
No.
Or avoiding people who are struggling.
Right. It's about recognizing the power of that emotional contagion,
Yeah.
choosing to surround yourself with people who support your growth
People who lift you up.
and help you face your fears with courage.
Okay. That makes sense.
And he also talks about limiting your exposure to negative news and media.
Yeah. That can be tough these days.
It can.
Right. Because it just amplifies the fear.
And it can create a really distorted view of reality.
Yeah.
It's not always an accurate reflection of what's really happening.
Okay.
So cultivate that positive mental attitude.
Right.
Focus on the good.
Yeah. And choose to believe in a brighter future.
Even when you're surrounded by negativity.
It's choice, isn't it?
It is. We have a choice in how we perceive the world.
We can focus on the problems or focus on the solutions.
And that perspective shapes our reality.
It really does.
Here's a fascinating story Hill tells to illustrate the power of decisive action in overcoming fear.
Okay.
It's about a man who is facing execution,
Whoa.
just 2 hours away from his death.
Oh my gosh.
And while the other inmates were panicking,
Yeah.
filled with fear and despair,
Understandably.
this man was remarkably calm.
Wow.
He ate his last meal with gusto. He had conversations with the guards.
Yeah.
He seemed completely at peace with his fate.
I mean, that's a powerful image.
It
You have that kind of composure in the face of death.
incredible.
It speaks to a really deep level of inner peace.
Acceptance.
Yeah. And Hill asked him how he was able to do it.
And what did he say?
He said, I made peace with my situation a long time ago. Worrying wouldn't change anything, so I chose to enjoy my remaining time.
Wow.
I get chills just thinking about that.
It's a profound statement.
It really is.
It shows the power of choosing our response,
Yeah.
even in the most difficult situations.
We may not always control what happens to us.
But we can control how we respond.
And Hill uses this example to show that making a decision,
Yeah.
even in a dire situation,
It can free us from fear.
and worry,
Accept the things we can't control, focus on what we can.
and that gives us a sense of peace.
Empowerment.
Okay.
Even in really tough circumstances.
So even in the face of death, there's still a choice, isn't there?
There's always a choice.
To succumb to fear or embrace courage,
To dwell on the negative or focus on the
to
positive.
give up or keep fighting.
And he'll believe that choosing to focus on what we can control,
Yeah.
finding meaning even in suffering.
Can transform even those difficult experiences into opportunities for growth. So even in the darkest times,
There's still light to be found.
and something worth fighting for.
Exactly.
Now back to decision making for a moment.
Okay.
I know Hill really emphasizes making those prompt and firm decisions.
As a way to overcome fear and achieve success.
Yeah. He says that indecision is a breeding ground for fear.
It allows those doubts to take root and grow.
Right. But taking action, even if it's not perfect,
Can dispel doubt?
and build confidence.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go for it.
Like rip off the Band-Aid.
And he also encourages people to actually confront their fears head on.
Okay.
He says avoiding your fears just gives them more power.
Right. You got to face.
Challenge them. Prove to yourself that you can handle those situations.
And that leads to growth and empowerment.
Exactly. Shine a light on those monsters in the dark.
Right. When we expose our fears, they lose their power over us.
And he'll even give specific strategies for addressing fears.
Okay.
If you're afraid of public speaking,
Yeah.
join Toastmasters, take a class.
Okay.
If you're afraid of failure,
Yeah.
embrace it.
You view it as a learning opportunity.
So take practical steps.
Yeah, build your confidence.
Okay.
And remember, every successful person has faced failures along the way.
That's true.
It's about learning from those mistakes.
And keeping going.
That determines your success.
Now, Hill also talks about the power of a positive mental attitude.
This is key.
Yeah. He says our thoughts are incredibly powerful,
They are.
dwelling on negativity,
Yeah.
fears, doubts.
It creates this environment that sabotages your efforts.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Right. But choosing to focus on those positive thoughts,
Believe
expectations,
it can attract success, abundance, and fulfillment.
your thoughts shape your reality.
It's almost like our minds are gardens.
I love that analogy.
If we plant seeds of fear and doubt, that's what we're going to get.
You reap what you sow.
But if you plant seeds of faith, courage, belief,
Then you cultivate a life of abundance.
joy, fulfillment.
It's a choice we make every day. And what are some of Hill's suggestions for cultivating a positive mindset?
He talks about practicing gratitude,
Okay.
focusing on the things we're thankful for,
Yeah.
surrounding ourselves with positive people,
Right. Lift each other up.
and develop that strong sense of self-belief,
Okay.
trust in your abilities, believe in your dreams.
Even when the journey's tough.
Yeah, even when things get hard.
Okay, this is a good one. What about Hill's concept of the sixth sense?
The sixth sense,
It sounds a little mystical, doesn't it?
it does. But Hill wasn't talking about some supernatural ability.
Okay, so what is it?
He believed it's a faculty that resides within each of us,
Okay.
often dormant or underdeveloped.
Okay, got it.
But if you cultivate it,
Yeah.
you can tap into this wellspring of inspiration
Innovation, intuition.
that can lead to really incredible achievements.
So like a hidden superpower we all have.
Yeah, but we don't always know how to use it.
Right?
And he gives examples of people who he thinks mastered this:
Like who?
Edison, Ford, Charles M. Schwab.
Big names.
Yeah, these visionaries and leaders.
He says they could see possibilities that others couldn't.
They thought outside the box,
Yeah.
and they tapped into their creative potential.
So it's more than just hard work.
It's about accessing that deeper level of knowing
An intuitive wisdom.
that can lead to those breakthroughs.
Okay, so how do you get there?
Hill says the sixth sense isn't something you're born with or without.
Okay.
It's something you can cultivate
Okay.
through practice and conscious effort.
Like what kind of practice?
Things that stimulate your imagination.
Okay.
Reading, writing, listening to music,
Being in nature.
Yeah.
And developing that sense of intuition.
learning to trust those gut feelings.
Those inner nudges.
Yeah, they're often trying to guide you.
So it's about quieting the external world.
Tuning into that inner voice
Okay.
and trusting that it's going to lead you in the right direction.
It's like a muscle, right?
Exactly. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Okay. So Hill also connects this sixth sense to the mastermind principle, doesn't he?
He does.
Okay.
He suggests that the synergy you get from a mastermind alliance,
Yeah.
it can actually amplify your creativity.
Okay.
It allows you to tap into this collective intelligence.
And generate ideas you wouldn't have thought of on your own.
Exactly. The mastermind becomes this crucible for innovation.
Where those individual sparks ignite something much bigger.
Exactly.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
So use the mastermind to unlock your creative potential.
And achieve goals that might seem impossible.
Okay. Now the subconscious mind, how does that fit into all of this?
Hill says that the subconscious mind is this incredible reservoir of creativity.
Okay.
And by tapping into it,
Yeah.
you can access a wealth of ideas, inspiration, intuition.
So it's like this vast ocean.
Yeah,
And the sixth sense is the ship.
that allows you to sail it
Right.
and discover those treasures.
But he says that fear and doubt, those limiting beliefs, they can block the subconscious mind.
They can.
So what are some ways to kind of clear those blockages?
Hill suggests things like affirmations,
Yeah.
visualization,
Yeah.
meditation,
Okay.
to quiet the conscious mind,
Like space.
for the subconscious to emerge.
Yeah. He also talks about the importance of paying attention to our dreams.
Dreams are a window into the subconscious.
They are. So we're more powerful than we realize.
Absolutely.
And if we learn to access those deeper levels of consciousness,
You can tap into that wellspring of creativity,
Wow.
wisdom, intuition.
Hill tells this great story about an artist who would paint with his eyes closed.
Oh, I remember that one. Why did he do that?
He said, with my eyes closed, I can see more clearly.
Wow.
He said, I can tap into a source of inspiration that's beyond my physical sight.
He was tuning out the distractions of the world.
Yeah, letting his inner vision guide him.
Exactly. And Hill uses this to show that the sixth sense isn't limited by our physical senses.
Okay.
By turning inward,
Yeah.
we access that deeper level of knowing and creativity.
Okay. Sometimes the greatest insights come from looking within,
Exactly.
quieting the mind.
Letting your intuition guide you.
And speaking of intuition, how does Hill see that connecting with the sixth sense?
He argues that intuition is the language of the subconscious mind.
Okay.
It gives you those subtle nudges,
Yeah, those gut feelings.
those flashes of insight.
Trying to point you in the right direction.
Yeah. So pay attention to those whispers.
Okay.
Trust your inner voice.
And act on those cues.
They're there for a reason.
So intuition isn't some mystical thing
It's a natural human capacity.
that we can all develop.
Yeah, through practice and self-awareness.
The more we listen to it, the stronger it becomes.
Exactly.
But Hill also acknowledges that intuition can be misleading sometimes,
It can.
especially if we haven't really developed that skill of discernment.
Right, you have to be able to distinguish between true intuition
Yeah.
and wishful thinking or fear-based projections.
So how do we get better at that?
Hill says the key is self-awareness. Understanding your biases, your patterns of thinking.
Yeah.
Learn to tell the difference between your ego
Yeah.
and your true self.
That's not always easy.
It takes practice.
Okay. And sometimes we need help with that, right?
Absolutely. Seek guidance from trusted mentors,
Okay.
advisors, maybe even spiritual teachers.
Yeah.
They can help you develop that intuition.
And tell the difference between true guidance and those misleading impulses.
Yeah, it's like having a compass.
To help you navigate.
Okay, now problem solving.
Okay.
When we face challenges, it's natural to rely on logic and reason.
Yeah.
But Hill says, engage your creative imagination.
Okay.
You might find more innovative solutions.
Ones that you wouldn't have considered through logic alone.
Exactly.
So there are different ways of knowing.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the most creative solutions come from intuition, imagination.
Seeing beyond the obvious.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
expanding your mental toolbox.
Right. Logic and reason are great.
Yeah.
But they're not the only tools we have.
So approach problems with an open mind.
Brainstorm freely.
Let your intuition guide you.
Sometimes the answers are right there.
But you have to be open to seeing them.
He tells a great story about a group of engineers designing a bridge.
Okay, tell me about it.
They were struggling to come up with a design that met all the requirements.
Okay.
They were stuck in a rut, relying on those conventional approaches.
Okay.
And the lead engineer, he was frustrated.
Yeah.
So he took a break, went for a walk in the woods,
Okay.
and as he was walking, he noticed the patterns of the spider webs,
Yeah.
the branches of the trees, the natural arches in the rock formations,
Okay.
and suddenly it hit him.
Yeah.
Nature itself was the answer.
Oh, wow.
It provided the perfect model for the bridge,
So he went back to his team,
and they developed this revolutionary bridge design.
inspired by nature.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It is.
Inspiration can strike anywhere
It can.
if you're open to it.
And the sixth sense can help us connect those seemingly unrelated ideas.
Okay, got it.
Find that inspiration all around us.
So don't just force a solution.
Be open to those possibilities
Seek inspiration.
and trust the right answer will come.
Okay, what about decision making? How does the sixth sense help with that?
When you're facing big choices,
Yeah.
it's easy to overthink things,
Right. Analyze every outcome.
get stuck in that logical loop.
But Hill says sometimes the best decisions come from trusting your gut.
That's right.
Those intuitive nudges.
Sometimes our intuition knows things our logical mind hasn't caught up with yet.
So quiet. It's almost like our intuition is a shortcut sometimes.
Yeah, like it's already done the calculations,
Yeah.
and it's giving you the answer.
Yeah. But Hill says you've got to develop that discipline, right?
Yeah, quiet the mind.
Tune into that inner voice
And make decisions that align with your values.
and aspirations.
It's about trusting that inner compass.
Yeah. It's not always easy, though, is it?
No, it takes practice.
And sometimes our intuition can lead us astray, right?
It can,
Yeah.
especially if you haven't learned to distinguish between true intuition and wishful thinking.
Or fear.
Yeah, those fear-based projections.
Right.
So self-awareness is crucial.
Okay.
Understanding your own biases,
Your patterns.
learning to differentiate between your ego and your true self.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to seek guidance,
From mentors.
advisors, spiritual teachers.
People who can help you develop that intuitive muscle.
Yeah.
Okay. So Hill also talks about the sixth sense and spiritual growth, right?
He does.
Okay. So how does that connect?
He suggests that as we cultivate our imagination and tap into our intuition,
Yeah.
we open ourselves to a deeper connection with something bigger than ourselves,
Okay.
a sense of oneness with the universe.
It's like we're expanding our awareness beyond our own little ego.
Right, tapping into a larger consciousness.
So he's encouraging people to explore their spirituality.
Yeah, connect with a higher power.
Yeah.
Find that meaning and purpose beyond just the material world.
I like that.
So the sixth sense isn't just a tool for success.
Okay.
It's a pathway to spiritual enlightenment,
I see.
a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe.
It's a reminder that we're not just physical beings.
We're spiritual beings.
Having a human experience.
Exactly.
And by connecting with that spiritual nature.
You can access a whole other level of wisdom,
Purpose.
fulfillment.
Okay. What about personal transformation? I know Hill talks about that too.
Yeah, he says that by using your creative imagination,
Okay.
You can actually reimagine yourself and your life.
So you can break free from those limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Negative patterns, self-sabotaging behaviors.
It's like you can rewrite the script.
Yeah. You become the author of your own story.
And Hill says, envision the best version of yourself.
Imagine living that life of purpose and passion.
Okay.
And believe that you can create that reality.
So feed your mind with positive images.
Empowering beliefs.
Reprogram your subconscious.
It's like upgrading your mental operating system.
From fear to love.
From limitation to possibility.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. But remember, imagination alone isn't enough.
Okay.
You have to take action.
Right. Put those ideas into motion.
Make choices that support that vision.
Okay. So the sixth sense gives you the inspiration and the guidance.
But it's up to you to take the initiative.
You've got to do the work.
And he tells a story about a man struggling with addiction.
Addiction can be so tough to overcome.
It can be a real battle.
And this man, he kept relapsing.
He felt trapped.
Yeah.
And he had this realization
What was it?
that he'd been using his imagination against himself.
Okay.
He was visualizing himself as an addict,
Okay.
imagining himself failing over and over.
Oh, wow.
He was programming his subconscious for failure.
He was creating a self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Yeah, in a way.
But then he made a decision to change that.
He started to visualize himself as healthy and sober,
Okay.
living a life of purpose.
He changed the picture in his mind.
He did.
And he started going to support group meetings, engaging in healthy activities.
Yeah, building a new life.
So he shifted his focus.
He reprogrammed his mind.
And eventually he broke free.
He did. And it shows the power of the mind to heal and transform.
It's inspiring.
It is. You
Okay.
have the power to choose your thoughts,
Yeah.
your beliefs, your self-image.
And those choices really do shape your destiny.
Now let's talk about happiness.
Okay.
Hill says true happiness isn't something you find outside of yourself.
Right.
It's a state of mind.
That you cultivate from within.
Right. It's not about achieving goals or buying things.
It's about inner peace.
Contentment.
And Hill says by tapping into your creative imagination,
Yeah.
you can access that joy, peace, and fulfillment.
That's independent of external factors.
I like that.
Engage in things that spark joy.
Okay.
Surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah.
Focus on what you're grateful for.
Step that perspective.
From lack to abundance.
From what's wrong to what's right.
And he really emphasizes giving back to others.
Okay.
True fulfillment comes not just from achieving your own goals.
Yeah. But from contributing to the well-being of others.
Yeah, make a positive impact.
We're all interconnected.
When our happiness is intertwined.
It's about recognizing that, isn't it?
It is.
And he tells a story about a wealthy businessman.
Yeah.
Who had everything but still felt empty.
He realized he'd been so focused on acquiring wealth.
Yeah.
He neglected his relationships, his community,
Okay.
his own spiritual growth.
He lost sight of what really matters.
Yeah, he was chasing the wrong things.
But then he decided to make a change.
He started spending more time with loved ones,
Okay.
got involved in charities,
Okay.
explored his spirituality.
He shifted his focus.
From getting to giving.
And he found that fulfillment.
He did. True wealth isn't measured in money.
Right.
It's measured in the richness of our relationships,
Okay.
the depth of our connections,
Right.
the impact we make on the world.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about a lot here today.
We have.
And it's clear that Think and Grow Rich is a really powerful book.
Full of wisdom.
Yeah, timeless principles for success.
And even though we've only explored excerpts,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot of ground.
I think we might have even uncovered a few of Hill's secrets along the way.
Maybe we did.
I encourage everyone listening to revisit those excerpts.
Yeah, see them with fresh eyes.
And think about how you can apply these principles to your own life.
Because they are powerful.
Yeah, it's not just about reading the book, it's about living it.
Absolutely. It's about taking action, making those changes.
And creating the life you truly desire.
Yeah. That's what Think and Grow Rich is all about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.